and the magic begins to happen as YouTube goes live. Good morning, my darlings. I hope you are well. Welcome to my weekly live chat. I'm Debbie Carberry. Nice to see you, ladies. So, whether you're folding laundry, wrangling children, or have had a really rough week and you're crying in the shower, you are in the right place. This is the space for you. Please say hello in the comments to me. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know where you're from. I take time each week to make space in these very difficult times for you to come and join me, and let's have a chat about life and things. I think the most important thing for most of us is to feel welcome somewhere. You are very welcome at my table. I know that most of us are very busy juggling a million things, and I want you to just stop for a minute, take 10 seconds, big deep breath, and do a bit of a check-in with yourself. How are you doing? How's your week been? And I always like to measure this out. It gives me an idea of how I'm traveling. So from 0 to 10, 0 being life was a bag of poo this week, Debbie. Wasn't the best week, to number 10 out of 10. I've had an absolute cracker and life is feeling very, very good. Maybe you were somewhere in between. Maybe the week went up and down and up and down and up and down. Who knows? But do share it with me. I'm keen to know. Where am I at? Well, as per usual for me, if you'd have asked me on Sunday this week, I would have been about a 9 out of 10, I reckon. I was having a really good weekend. Yesterday, I probably hit a 1. 1 step forward, 2 step back, girls. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's an absolute poop sometimes. So hi, Sarah. Hello, Mary. Nice to see you guys. Yep, life's been a bit hard. Sitting at about a 5, a bit of a roller coaster. You know, it's funny that, some days just seem so easeful and gentle and productive and like you're going in the right direction. You know what it's like, a relationship ends, a job ends, your kids are giving you a hard time, something comes up and it's really hard. We can tell ourselves the story that like we haven't made any progress. This is a massive setback. Life is just not good. It's really challenging. It's really hard. Why am I putting in the effort? And that mindset can take us from like a 3 or 4 out of a 4 or 5 out of 10 to a 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10. And mindset really is important, which I had to hang on to quite tightly yesterday. It's really interesting to me to have, I took some time to go and just take some time. Literally, that was the plan, was to just take some time, not plan the couple of days off I had, but actually just take some time and give myself some grace and allow myself to slow down and not cram things in. And I did it, and it was so wonderful. I did a ton of self-care, which was actually quite painful physically, but I did a lot of self-care, which made me remember that I haven't been doing good self-care recently, and reminded me that making time for that is really bloody important. And, then coming back to things that I had to face that I've been struggling with, and having to push through them. And, I wanted to, yesterday, I just thought, I'm not going to do it. It's too hard. Because my go-to is find a very quick, easy turnaround thing that kind of will get me through it and costs me very little emotionally, but gets me where I want to be. But I knew that if I did that I would pay the price down the track. I knew that if I did the quick, easy fix that would give me a belief in the moment that in a week or 2 or even longer, more like 3 or 4 or 5 months time, I knew that it would have been not something that would have helped me. So I had to push through, and I wanted to give up. I'll be honest. I really just thought, this is stupid. I'm never going to understand this. This is too hard. And then I just thought, okay, hang on. Because what I was doing is what I tend to do, which is just put too much emphasis on that moment instead of thinking like, I have time. It's not like it has to be perfect today. I don't have to have it all worked out today. Like, do you guys get like that? When challenges come up, and the first thing is they do, right? They come up for all of us, whether it's a relationship ending, a partner having an affair, maybe we had an affair, maybe our adult kids are being absolute douches and they're really challenging us and pushing into our limits. Maybe we're dealing with an ex-partner. Like, it could be 1,000 different things. And we feel like we've made a bit of progress, and then something comes up and we feel like we've backslid just so far. And it's really hard. Jacqueline Madav, I've had a frustrating week trying to get my financial order into court and not a lot of cooperation from the ex. See what I mean? I think something like that, like financial orders can take 2 years. And that's a long time, a lot of emotional investment. And for anybody else who's been through this, let me know in the comments, because financial orders really are challenging. A bit like parenting orders, really, anything where you're trying to make big decisions about life. And it can take a long time. The process can be really slow. You think you're moving forward with it. Oh, all right, we're finally at an agreement. And then both, they're like, change my mind, I'm not doing that. And they're like, oh, back to square one. But generally speaking, we are in forward motion. And I know it's really hard, like I do. But what do we do to get through that stuff? Hi, Kate. Like, how do we keep going? I am not the sort of person who slaps a smile on my face and pretends everything's okay. I lean in, like emotionally, I think this is where I'm at with my feelings, and I really want to just be with that. That doesn't mean like I fall apart, but it does mean that I lean into it and I deal with it. I go, okay, this is really upsetting. I felt really, like yesterday, I felt hopeless. I felt angry. I felt like I wasn't getting it. So it felt like I wasn't smart enough. I was giving myself a lot of negative talk because I was just struggling so much. And then sitting back and waiting and doing some deep breathing and going, okay, Debbie, come on. This mindset you've got is not actually helping you get out of this hole. It's digging the hole way deeper. My question always in those really difficult moments when when I feel like I'm backsliding, the first question is always, hang on a second. In this moment, in this second where I'm sitting right this second, can I do anything about this or not? In the case of Jacqueline's stuff, where it's, hey, I've got financial settlement, financial orders I'm trying to do. Sometimes we can do nothing. And I think it's really good to check in and go, I can't actually do anything about this. And so then we can let ourselves off the hook. We can go, you know what? I can't do anything about this. I'm going to park this for today. And for some of you, parking it is a part of why you come and talk to me, because you're like, well, how do I park it, Debbie? Like, great to say I park it, but how the heck do I park it? And it's, being mindful is really important. Making sure you're doing self-care is really important. Learning how to manage those really big feelings and those really difficult moments is essential, in my opinion. I talk about that a lot on this channel. Don't forget, by the way, if you're on my channel, to subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe. It helps me out a lot because it helps YouTube know that you're interested in what I'm talking about. And if you hit the little notification bell down the bottom, it tells you when any new videos go live. So that's really where you can help me with this channel grow and reach more women like you. And of course, give me a thumbs up if you find the material helpful. So mindset matters. It really does. And, sometimes we get in a funk and we can't get out of it. Hi, Kate. Every time I go backwards, it makes me feel like I've been kidding myself in the months. I think I'm doing better. Ah, yes, yes. So we tell ourselves the story, right? That, oh, I thought I was doing great, but really I wasn't. It was just a fluke, or really I wasn't, because look where I am now. I think it's really important to remember that when we have had success, the success still matters. And this is great for things like overeating, for having a few too many glasses of wine, for going to the gym. We've done well. We've told ourselves, hey, I'm going to do this. This is important to me. And so we've gone, eating more healthy, or maybe we have decided that we'll join a gym, or we'll do daily exercise, or maybe we've decided that we'll cut the wine down, or we might even cut it out for a while. And then something comes up and we have a setback. Maybe we don't go to the gym. Maybe we eat the whole cake. Maybe we have too many glasses of wine, or we have a glass of wine and we've told ourselves we're not going to. And for many people, that means everything before this moment doesn't count anymore. That's not true. Every single day that you did the other thing was a day that you did the other thing, and that still counts towards health and well-being. It still counts towards you honoring yourself. And I think that what's really important in those moments is to remind ourselves, I've had a setback. This isn't permission to now slide all the way back down. This is me going, you know what, today was a bit of a difficult day. I made decisions that weren't ones that I wanted to make, and I'm going to step up for tomorrow. I'm going to actually make this right for myself by actually keeping to the boundary that I've made for myself, and I'm going to stick at it. And I think every day you have a win is still a win. Every single day that you have a win. I hear women often talk about, they've had a period of real distress. Maybe the relationship's ended or they've found out about an affair. And they've had that time of absolute distress where every day is tears and sadness and heartache and hurting. And they wake up one day, usually 3 to 6 months down the track, and they wake up and they're not having a bad day. And they're like, wow, I'm not having a bad day. This is fabulous. But maybe they see their ex and they all of a sudden are flooded and triggered with all the emotion that they'd previously had. And then they're kind of shook up and feeling like, oh, and they're in tears and they're crying again, like, oh my God, I thought I was over this. I thought I was past all of this. Well, you are. You've just had a minor setback. You haven't gone back to starting from the beginning. You've simply had a little bit of a slide and you'll move forward again. And it's important to remember that. So, my loves, it's important to remember that progress is never ever a straight line. It's more like a bloody cha-cha-cha dance, 2 forward, 2 back, 3 forward, 1 back, 4 forward, 5 back. It's a cha-cha-cha. It really is. I think it's important to differentiate, though, between having a mindset where you're going to go, hey, I'm going to be self-compassionate. It wasn't my finest moment. I haven't had the best day or whatever, but not to get into like toxic positivity, because that does my bloody head in, rah, rah, life's good, you're the queen, don't let your crown slide. I can't stand that. That really irritates me. It irritates me because, number one, it takes away permission to feel what we're feeling. It creates a falsehood that everybody can just flip a switch in their brain and be okay. Not actually true. And I think being honest about where we're at is okay. Being where we're at is okay. And finding a way to climb out of where we are at is okay. And it takes time. So the toxic positivity does get under my skin. And I think, we need to have permission to feel what we're feeling. Yes, we don't want to dive down in the deep waters of it, but we certainly do want to feel it. We do want to acknowledge it and know it's there and take action that actually helps us to process what's going on. And yeah, one bad day doesn't cancel out a good week or good month, or one bad week doesn't cancel out a month that's been really positive. So my darlings, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, as I am wont to do, and of course you can ask me anything you like. That's what we're here for, to have a chat and answer questions. Yeah, I wish there was a switch 2K. I really do. I think it's the having a process when it happens. For me, I love a good process. And HALT is a great one. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? And checking in with myself. So HALT. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? And if I'm hungry, have something to eat. If I'm lonely, reach out to a friend. If I'm angry, what's going on for me, and how am I going to process the anger that I'm feeling? And am I tired? Do I need some rest? And I think, using things like that, having little processes is really helpful to be able to go, okay, how am I gonna get through this difficult moment? So I think that's really, really important. So if you've got questions for me, let me know. Let me ask you some questions, because of course I would love to be able to help you. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Debbie Carberry. I am a university trained therapist and a relationship coach. I help women globally to work through and process things like affairs, long-term relationships ending, dealing with their adult kids, usually adult kids, not younger kids, because usually those relationships are more challenging. And oftentimes the women that come and talk to me have older kids. Helping women in transition. So maybe you're going through perimenopause or menopause, and your partner's left, or your partner's had an affair, and you may have issues with your children, and you may wonder who you are anymore. You're looking at your identity and kind of scratching your head. I also work with families, women who are going through a separation, and there are younger children involved, and they're trying to work out how to deal with their ex. So if you are any of those people and you are looking for some help and support, you are welcome here every single Thursday, where we talk about stuff, we talk about life and what's going on, and you can ask me questions, and I'm here to try and assist you where I can. To my members who are here today, hello, darling ones. It's nice to see your gorgeous faces as usual. So let's have a look. Write myself a checklist in panic to focus on. And sometimes a checklist is too hard, right, Kate, because we don't go to it. I find this little thing can be amazing. Leave yourself a voice message and play the voice message, because in a voice message, you can add all those extra things, the tone of your voice, telling yourself, that this is a really difficult moment. And you know that they always pass. You know that the best thing you can do right now is go and have a hot shower, go for a walk, grab a nice cup of herbal tea, maybe do some star jumps, whatever it is that works for you, and tell yourself in that voice message, we've got this, we're going to be okay. Yes, it's hard, but we have gotten through every single difficult moment that has ever come up in our lives, and we're going to be okay with this one. So a checklist can be handy if you like having lists, but I find a voice message can be just exactly what the doctor ordered. Speaking to the part of yourself that is really struggling with a part of yourself that actually feels really good on a given day when you are feeling in motion and things are getting better and you do feel like you're making progress. So to remind yourself with a little voice message can be really, really impactful. Let's have a look. I've been doing a lot of journaling and thought dumping. Thought dumping is so helpful, Sarah. Like having a journal where you literally pick it up and you literally just scribble, 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 like dump every single thing that's on your mind. Don't think about commas and handwriting, and don't think about whether it makes sense or not. Just absolutely vomit out on the page all of it, every single last thing that's coming to mind, and then put the book down and then leave it in another room and walk away from it and literally say to yourself, I'm going to leave this here and I can come back to it when I feel a bit differently. It's a really good, helpful tool. Again, you can do it with a voice message. You can just vomit it out on a voice message to yourself where you can just get it all off your chest. That's about processing, right? That's about, here's all the stuff. I'm going to get it out of my body, out of my mind. I'm going to absolutely deal with it all. And then once I've actually worked through it and left it, not necessarily finding an answer. So people think, well, if I haven't got an answer, that means it didn't work. That isn't actually accurate. Processing those feelings, leaning into the feelings, allowing the feelings, and then going, right, now let me get back into my day is hugely helpful, like so helpful. When I don't feel very well, I get really emotional. What actually happens in our brain when that happens? Really hard to talk yourself out of that mindset when you feel poorly. Great question. So, the emotionalness oftentimes is a sense of helplessness and hopelessness. When we're ill, it's often like we can't actually do much about it. We have to be in the illness. And so there's a sense of helplessness and hopelessness. I'll never get better. This is always going to be this bad. This is impacting me, in things I can do and things that I want to do, and maybe even getting out of the house. So when we're not well, then it's very challenging, and changing your mindset is incredibly hard. And that is why you have to have amazing self-care. You have got to have a plan around, okay, I'm not well. What am I eating to help me feel better? What am I physically doing within my capacity, right? What can I physically do that helps my body heal, helps my body be as strong as it can be? What am I doing mental health wise? So what am I doing to help my mind manage what is going on? Do I have, if you have a persistent illness that is not going anywhere, then you need mental health support, because it really does have an impact of making you feel quite helpless and hopeless. And so making sure that you have support around how you manage that is really important, right? Sometimes we need medication. Sometimes things like yoga will help, or doing some mindfulness practice will really help, or doing some self-acceptance is really, really helpful. Maybe some self-compassion would help. So it's about having a plan about, how do I manage these things that really impact me and make me feel quite helpless and hopeless? Those feelings can really hijack us, and can really put us into a mindset that is quite negative and keep us stuck there. So it's important to look at, okay, I'm not great, my health isn't great, but what do I have the capacity to do? because that's really important. And you may need to talk to a physical therapist, an occupational therapist. Maybe you need to talk to a therapist, a coach, but finding somebody who can help you work through and find things that will assist you as you try and manage whatever's going on. All right, let me ask you a question, you delicious, lovely ones. What do? You know, when the wall hits you, what's the story that you make up in your mind about that? And before anybody gets offended about, I don't make up stories. I'm not telling you that you're lying to yourself. What I'm saying to you is we each attach a story to everything. We make meaning of everything. And the stories that we attach to the stuff that goes on in our lives are usually stories that are not particularly helpful, and stories that are linked and attached to a negative mindset, or triggered moments, or past experiences, or trauma stories. So we can link, we can link what's happening to us. Like this always happens to me. This is never going to get better. I should be able to handle this. These are word prisons, is what I call these. These words that we use in our life that actually keep us quite stuck. So I'd love you to share with me, what are some of the stories that you tell yourself on the days when you hit the wall, and pop them in the comments. I read all of them. I'm really interested to sort of build this community up and find out more about you as you find out more about me. And, we together find ways to move forward in our lives. Morning, Rachel. Nice to see you, darling. My health has been amping up again. Also, restarted the gut shots again, trying to eat smaller meals more often, but that's been really hard. So here's the thing about your gut. We now know that your gut is one of the most important parts of your body. How well your gut is functioning will have an impact on how well you are managing with your mental health. So making sure you have really good gut health is so important. This is something I am super passionate about. I have a beautiful vegetable garden in my backyard. I just love my garden. It's so delicious. I went and harvested food from the backyard yesterday to make food for dinner. I love fresh, clean produce. Hard to buy in the shop sometimes because it's pesticide spread and herbicide spread, which is not good for your gut. So grow something if you can, even if it's just in a pot. You can grow all sorts of things like lettuce and cucumbers, tomatoes. There's lots and lots and lots of vegetables you can grow into pots, and herbs, of course. Yesterday I had a big glass of lemon balm, chocolate spearmint, which is one of my herbs, and I had some oregano and some ginger in some hot water, and it was really, really yummy. That's incredibly soothing to the gut. If you get any heartburn or reflux or anything like that, that's a really soothing herbal drink you can have that will really settle your gut down. No, I'm not a doctor, so just saying, I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you my personal experience. But for your gut, things like eating foods that are really good probiotic and prebiotic food is so important. Getting in things like proper healthy yogurt, that really tart yogurt that's, a Greek yogurt. I make all my own yogurts. And, making sure that you have things like kefir, or you have sauerkraut, or if you like, what is it called? Not kimchi. Is it kimchi? It could be kimchi. But all of those really delicious probiotic foods. I do a lot of fermenting, and you don't need a lot of probiotic food to help your gut. Having a really good chicken bone broth with organic chooks are best because they have no nasties in them. No added, because chickens often do have added hormones and antibiotics and all sorts of things. So you can get yourself an organic chicken and use all of it. It will give you lots of good healthy bone broth that you can put in pastas and rices and soups and sauces, and it's so, so good for your gut. So looking after your gut is really important, because there is an absolute link to your gut health and how you're feeling. So just be mindful of that, and again, on this channel, I will be talking more about gut health because it's such an important topic, especially around mental health. And of course, for our kids and for us, it's really helpful. We want to be as healthy as we can be, because that helps us mental health wise, physically, all of the things. My gut is going mad at the present with acute emotional stuff. Yep. If you have a trauma history, if you have stuff that's gone on, your gut might really need a lot of support. And there are lots of things you can do that are really, really, really helpful. Yeah, I make my own bread too, Kate. I love making crusty bread. I ferment bread overnight, and I know lots of people make sauerkraut, not sauerkraut, sourdough. I don't have success with that, I'm afraid. I'm just not very good with that. Hardly anything processed, plant-based, lots of veggies, pulses, nuts, brown rice. Yeah, and again, it's about just varying what you do to help. Anything that helps you feel better is really important. Trying to realize that even though in the past I've always been the one to help everyone else, I too need help sometimes. Absolutely. Asking for help and receiving help is such a gift to ourselves. All right, my next question for you all. If you could borrow a more helpful mindset in the really difficult moments, what would it sound like? Like what would you need to hear when you are going through something really tough? For me, yesterday, literally, when I was going through the process of telling myself, I'm giving up, this is too hard, I'm going to take the easy route, because even though that's not helpful, it will give me instant relief, because we all want a bit of instant gratification, don't we? I don't want to feel horrible for long periods of time. But I told myself, hang on a second, is this what you really want to do? I went and talked to someone and just said, this is what I want to do. I want to avoid the pain of this moment. It's too hard. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So I want to take this shortcut that is not a good shortcut. And that person was like, yeah, do that. And I was like, nope, that is not what I want to do. That's why I came to talk to you. What I want to do is I want to choose the hard road, because that is actually better for me in the long run. I think a lot of times in our lives, when we're offered that instant gratification, let me just do this in the moment because this is easier, it's not going to be so painful. You've separated, for example, right? And you're sitting with the pain of that, and it aches, and you feel so distressed and so overwhelmed, and it's hurting so badly. So you pick up the phone and call your ex, and when they answer, in the very second they do that, you get relief. It feels great. Then they maybe say or do something that really wounds you and hurts you, and you put the phone down and you feel like garbage. Because you get instant gratification from that. In the moment, you get relief from the pain you're feeling. Whereas sitting with it and going, I feel so sad. I love this person. I miss this person. I wish this person was here with me. This is such a difficult, painful moment. I just want him back. I just want the two of us to get back together again. I just want things to be like they used to be. And I want to call them, and I want to get, because that's what we're searching. We're searching for the connection and the belonging, right? We're searching for a way to hold on to the person who helps us feel better. But if we are able to tell ourselves, this is a really difficult moment, and calling isn't going to help, because if I call, I might get relief in the moment, but I'll feel absolutely dreadful afterwards, and I will feel like I've taken 2 steps, 3 steps back. I'm going to sit with this painful stuff and process it. Maybe I'm going to write a letter to them and not send it. Maybe I'm going to go get the photo albums out. Who has photo albums still? If anybody has a photo album still, give me a thumbs up and let me know. I have photo albums. Most things are digital now. I forget about that. So, if you happen to have some pictures to look through, like sit with them and look through them and cry and be sad and remind yourself it's okay that I feel lost and sad and lonely, because this was the person who I was with for a long period of time, and I loved them so deeply with my whole heart. And of course I'm going to be sad that they're gone, and of course there's going to be a time of transition where it's really hard and lots of grief and loss around it. So just important, just really important to honor that. So the mindset in the moment is really important. You've got lots of them, Mary. There you go. See, a woman after my own heart. I still have lots. I do have them in boxes now. So photo albums, back in the day, that's what we had. And not as many as, my daughter's got thousands and thousands and thousands on her phone. I have precious ones in photo albums of my kids, nothing digital, because back in the day, I know I'm young looking, but I'm quite old. Nearly 60, girls, nearly 60. Let's have a look what you're saying. Still old school. A few of the girls have got their photo albums. Yes, I feel it's such a huge hurdle to get over, not relying on your ex. And I think, yeah, exactly. Like when we love someone, I was explaining this yesterday to a client that, it's, I don't know if you've seen that movie with the blue people, and they take their tails and they fuse their tails together. And that's connection, right? That sense of connection, belonging, and that joining together of human beings, and we really seek that. We want that desperately. For me, that's attachment. I see that as attachment, right? So we attach to another person because we're humans, and we want to feel connected, and we want to belong. And so when we're connected to that person, it calms our nervous system down. It helps us feel more euphoric, happier, more stable, more comfortable. When we disconnect, when we pull away, or they have pulled away from us, it can really set our whole nervous system into a bit of a tailspin. This isn't safe. I won't be able to cope. This is too hard. I'm never going to get over it. I need them to be with me. These really obsessive thinking, which is really normal, by the way. So if you haven't already been to my YouTube channel, I have 2 playlists on there that I'm doing some video series on there. One is around somebody who's had an affair and how you go through the process post-affair, and the other one is how to, go through that post-separation period once a long-term relationship has broken down and you are separating. And in those video series, I talk about this. I talk about the absolute physiological response to when the connection is broken, and how our minds really, really don't cope well. And so that sense of desperation, that sense of fear, that sense of I won't be able to do this is very real. And that obsession with, I just want to talk to them, I just need to see where they are, I just miss them, this is intolerable pain, is actually a physiological response to the broken attachment from this person. It's really normal. It's really normal, and it's really painful. If you are struggling with that, please do come over to this channel. Pop your questions in the comments of my live chats. Watch my playlists. I'm continuing to do videos on those playlists, so you're welcome to go take a look at those. Like I said, it's 12-part series with the affair series, and a 12-part series with the long-term relationship ending. And of course, you can come here on Thursdays and chat with me if you have questions. Adam, my darling, how do you have a story from in real life when people were walking in a line and somebody suddenly stopped walking and everybody bumped into each other? How do you have a story in real life when? Okay, so you mean making up the story? Yes. Okay, so that everybody's walking in pace and suddenly somebody stops and everybody bumps into each other. I'm not sure what the question is there, but I think that forward momentum, that moving forward and feeling like, just keep moving. And it can be like being a cog, as long as the cogs are moving, everything is fine. As long as we are all gently moving in the same direction, life is okay. But if somebody suddenly stops and everybody else keeps moving, boom, 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 we're all going to get hit by each individual person. This is where mindfulness comes in, really helpful. Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what you're thinking and feeling, be present in the present moment. What is going on right now? And then stop. Don't keep on walking. Stop and go, okay, maybe I need to step left or right of these people, to get around them. If they want to stop, that's up to them, but I can still move out of this line and keep walking forward. And I think in life there are many things that are like that. Maybe our partner has left and we now feel like we are actually banging up against people who've just suddenly stopped in a line. Maybe we are trying to work through issues with our older kids and it's Groundhog Day and we are trying really hard to get them to get out of a routine that's maybe not helpful for them, or maybe is not actually respectful to you. So it's about being in the present moment. It's about being mindful of your circumstances. It's about learning how to do a sidestep. What will I do if this happens? How will I continue forward momentum when a roadblock arrives? Not if, because you can bet your bottom dollar a roadblock will arrive. They do arrive often. We all experience them. So having a plan around that can be super helpful. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be going through this again 5 years later. And that surprises me, if I'm honest, because all people think that you get through something and then you're through it. And that often is not the case in life. When one door closes, another one slams you in the face as well. This is the human condition. There are always going to be things that come up. There are always going to be hurdles. There are always going to be moments that come up in our lives. And so learning the tools, that's why we need a toolbox, right? That's why I work with women, is Get a toolbox full of tools. Learn how to use the tools. Get rid of old, outdated tools that do not work for you anymore. Learn how to do things like mindfulness and self-care and self-compassion. Learn how to deal with emotions and process emotions. Learn about your attachment style. Learn about what your triggers are. Understand your inner critic. Get to understand this stuff. And when you do, and you find the tools, and I can help you with tools if you want tools. When you find those tools, practice using them, and you'll do it really messy to start with. You might not be great at it in the beginning because it's a new skill set, but just keep practicing because you will get better at it with time. So, my darlings, looking back at the week you've just had, where did you make progress? What did you succeed at, even if you had setbacks? For me, I stuck at what I was doing yesterday. It was absolutely grueling. It took me all day. And I think it was about 7 p.m. by the time I finally completed the tasks that I wanted to complete. I haven't looked today to see if they are still successful because I was too nervous. I was going to do this live before I had a look. I thought, no, I'm going to do this first because I may have another day of setbacks. We'll wait and see what happens. So what do? You know, what did you do this week that where you made progress? And, you know, even if you had setbacks, what did you succeed in? And for me, I stuck it out. I did the longer, more challenging road because I really believe in my whole heart that that is the best path for me in the long term. And the long term is important. You know, it really is. In the longer term, I want to have things be different. So if you have not been here before, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've been here before, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you. I would really appreciate your help. So I'm going to ask you for help now. Share my videos. That really helps me on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing at all. It just means that it tells YouTube that people want to see my stuff. Please hit that notification bell if you are interested in knowing every single time I do a YouTube live. I come on here once a week, every Thursday in my time. If you put the notifications on, you'll be notified as soon as I set that up. I'll try and get better at doing those a bit earlier in the week so people have a bit more notice. But you can also watch them on the replay. They're always here on replay for you on the channel. I'm really keen to grow this community, to have a lot of like-minded women from around the world join me. I know we have people here, and you can let me know in the comments where you're from, which country you're from in the chat. I'm really keen to say hello to you. I know some parts of the world right now are having a really hard time. To all my friends in America, my thoughts are with you every single day. Please look after yourselves. Please take care of yourselves. I am hoping that your situation will improve soon, but also people, you know, in Ukraine and in other countries that are really suffering. I do every day think about how fortunate I am to be in the country I am in. You know, so yeah, I have members from across the globe. So yeah, let me know where you're from in the comments. That'd be really appreciated. I'll just take the last couple of comments here. It's easy to fall back into a comfortable place with your ex until he lies about stupid things in fear of upsetting me. Then it seriously triggers me, so I end up with things being worse again. Yep, and that can be really challenging. You know, some people maintain relationships with their ex-partners, some people don't. I think in the beginning it's best not to, just while you get your emotional self on a more helpful and more balanced path. Okay, I mostly definitely have second guessed myself when it comes to when I think I'm doing better. I just have to process each issue separately. Yeah, one step forward. It doesn't matter if there's 2 steps back, just gently moving forward. Jackie, my main problem is when I go to bed, everything comes crashing in my mind, will not switch off. I do not want him back, but I'm so cross with the way he treated me after 50 years together. And Jackie, if you haven't before been to this YouTube channel, in my store, there are 2 survival guides. One is for when long-term relationship ends, and it talks about when you can't sleep. And there are some suggestions around things that you can do, really helpful tools and strategies that will get you through this really difficult time. Bedtime is really intriguing because it's so quiet. There are very few distractions. It's dark and our minds can go racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. That survival guide is up in my store. My store is on my page. But you just click on the store, and in there is a survival guide for after an affair and a survival guide for when a long-term relationship ends. It's a little download, has a lot of information about what you are experiencing, what you're likely to experience. It has lots of tools and strategies just to help you manage in those really painful early days that feel overwhelming. And for anybody who feels like they need extra support, I have scheduled times, one-on-ones with people, and a diary for that. So if anybody is wanting some one-on-one support from me, you're more than welcome to put that in the comments, and I will give you my diary, a scheduler link, and you can book yourself a session with me. I will be putting a membership up here on YouTube at some point. I currently have a membership, which is a much more in-depth, more personal. We do a lot more things in that, where I coach people. We have coaching calls a few times a month, and we have a community. So I have that, but I'll have another membership here on YouTube, which won't be as deep as that one, but will be somewhere where we can have more private discussions rather than on the open YouTube page. So if you are interested in that, let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in me, if you've got a topic that you'd like me to talk about, or if you are interested in, if you can't find something, maybe you don't know where the playlists are, you can just pop that in the comments. I try to read all the comments and respond to all of them. I'm able to do that most of the time. I'm not a tech whiz, so I'm just learning as I go, but I am getting better at that. So if you have a comment or question, pop it in and I will try and get back to you on that. The playlists are at the top of my channel. And so in the playlists, you will find, after an affair, Heartbreak to Healing. Those are my two big ones that talk about long-term relationships ending and affairs. I'm also going to be doing another playlist in the future around managing that transition through menopause and perimenopause whilst dealing with long-term relationships ending and adult kids. So I'll be doing that in the future. I'm also going to have a playlist around going through separation and working with your ex and dealing with your ex while still being great parents to your children. So those are all coming on the channel. So please do sign up, subscribe, it's free charge, and there's not much for free these days. And also hit that notification bell so that you always, always, always get notified when I'm coming live. And that way you won't miss a thing, and you can come and join me every week. Jackie, my main problem is when I go to bed, everything comes, oh, that's the one I read. You've been 50 years together. Gosh, that's a long time, lovely. That's a long time. Like, you have to give yourself time and grace. You know what I mean? I go to bed, it comes crashing into. I don't want to go back, but I'm so cross with the way he treated me after 50 years together. It's not unusual now, Jackie, unfortunately. I see a lot of women, like when I started doing this work, the average age of the woman I worked with was between 35 and 55. And now the average age of the women I work with is between 45 and 75. More and more women who are more mature are now in situations where their long-term relationships is ending. And, it's a shock. It's a shock to the system. And you may never have been on your own before. You may never have, you may never, ever have been in this situation of being a single woman. Lovely. I would love for you to grab that survival guide from my channel. Also, I'd really encourage you to go to the playlist and watch some of the videos. There are some really helpful tools there. You are more than welcome to come and join us here every single week. The women here are amazing. They are beautiful and kind and supportive, and they've all been in your position. So I know some of them, and if anybody here wants to make a comment to Jacqueline, who, 50 years is such a long time and so painful. So please, the ladies here will give you lots of love. A lot of these ladies are members from my membership, and they really get where you are. Many of them have been where you are. I have women in my membership who are in their 60s and 70s who really have had, those extremely long-term relationships end, and the pain of it can just be outstandingly painful, like nothing you've ever felt before. And how you ever experienced a collision of people while walking behind. Okay, so you're probably just a bot. So I'm just going to ignore Anda because that's interesting and I've already answered it, even though it's an unusual question. You are in my membership. See, that's the thing. Unless I see faces, I can't remember. I'm glad you're in my membership, darling. So if you're in the membership, come to some of the coaching calls and I'd be more than happy to offer you some more support. And I'd be more than happy to answer some of your more private questions. understand that YouTube is an open channel, so I don't know everybody, and I don't assume anything. There are some names that have been with me a long time, and I recognise their names because I've seen them for a long time. Also, some of those gorgeous ladies have their pictures up, so I can see them and know who they are. So my apologies there, my love. But if you're in my membership, come along to the coaching calls. Make sure that you you're asking the questions that you need. You don't need to buy the survival guide. All that stuff is over on the website. So if you are looking for the letting go workshop, would be a really good one for you. That has a lot of tools and strategies in that workbook, and it also has an awful lot about self-care. So go across to the website. If you can't find it, let us know in the Facebook group and we can direct you to where to go and grab that if you are needing that. We are going to be in the membership doing self-care for the whole of September, so that might be really helpful for you. All right, my loves, as always, thank you so much for coming and joining me today. I really appreciate you. Like I said, I would love you to help me grow this channel. And the way you can do that is watch my videos, share my videos. You can just click the link on my YouTube channel. You get the URL, you just hit share, you just copy it, and you can put it on your Facebook, you can share it with your friends by sending it via email if you wanted to, put it on any of your socials, and it would really help me so much to grow this channel and this community. So I appreciate if you do that. Like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because that one's going to tell you whenever I come live, but also whenever I do a new video. And of course, you can watch them in your own time. I try to do one video a week around affairs, a long one video a week around letting go after a long-term relationship has ended. And I do lots and lots and lots of really short little 30-second bitey videos because YouTube likes that, so that you can watch those as well. All right, my darlings, I'm going to head off and go and see how the work that I did yesterday, see if it actually has worked or it is broken again and I'm going to have to go and fix it. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you all so, so much. You are absolutely beautiful. I am here to help you in any way that I can. So take the best care of yourself, and I will see you all very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.